worst. I struggle. Okay. So for all of you at home who are watching, contrary to Kelsey's belief that no one watches it,
It's a fact, actually.
it's not a fact. I would say very few people watch it, but it is still there anytime someone wants it, and that's why I do it. So we've already talked about for this number 5, which, let me go back. When we looked at this, sorry, I'm doing a recap for those that are tuning in. None of these ideas had the same quantities, so some of us, or all of us, decided to multiply the top equation by 2, the bottom equation by 3, because we're creating those equivalent equations, and now the 6x are the same, so that the difference between the 6x's is, what's the difference?
0 and then
0, right? The whole idea is that we're trying to create that 0, that difference of 0.
We found the least common multiple.
Well, you use least common multiple to do that, yes, but let's look at this. So when I look at the differences in 10y and 9y, the difference, subtraction, is 1y, or y. The difference in 45.5 and 42.75 is at 2.75. And this is important term-wise. Kelsey,
Yeah.
what are we going to do with this 2.75?
We're gonna plug it in for y for the other one.
Does anyone have a different term we could use there?
We're gonna substitute it.
We're going to substitute that 2.75 in for y. Now, Desiree, why can we substitute 2.75 in for y? So we do need to get the x, but why can I substitute this in for y?
Why?
Because they are equal, right? If they are equal, that 2.75 can be substituted in for y. We good with that? Mr. Lippman, did you talk about, because it looks like you did, but did you talk about taking this and then writing it separately once?
I did, but we didn't have a full conversation on it.
Okay.
Because they were just, we did that, they were still in the process of solving the problem.
You're good. So, always write your system up one time, and then before you start taking a difference, write it a second time with like your proper, or the correct coefficients, all that stuff, right? So I'm never gonna do my differences here, because I want this system to stay intact. Because I want you to notice, what has smaller numbers? This original system or the new system? The original system. Do you want to deal with bigger numbers or smaller numbers? I'm always going to go for smaller numbers, personally. It makes my life easier. And so I recommend that you leave this one intact. Now, does it matter which equation I substitute 2.7 in for y?
No.
No. We all good with that idea? And so you can do it on either one of those. I'm not going to go through that work, because I trust, based on what I've seen, that you've done that correctly. Here's what I do want to emphasize and I do want to ask. All right, so we've all worked that out. We know that why the small bags of dog food cost $2.75 and the small bags of cat food cost, is it $3? Cool. Now, I want to push on this idea. Did I have to multiply this by 2 and this by 3? Is there anything else I could have done? Same problem. Is there anything else I could have multiplied other than 2 in the top equation and 3 in the bottom equation? Probably. Well, let me ask you this. Let's just say I multiplied by 3 here, and 3 here. Is that still creating an equivalent equation? Yes, very much so. It's still multiplying everything by 3. I think that's right based on having done it earlier. Does anyone know what I would now need to multiply the second equation by to eliminate a variable? Where'd you get 5 from?
Well, you did 5 times 3 up there and you did 15.
5 times that 3 was 15. What's 3 times 5? 15. So can I eliminate the variable y? Do you think both of these equations will give me the same correct answer? Yes. Yeah. notice I still created one of the variables to have the same coefficient, right? So now what am I going to look for between those two equations? Once I have one thing the same, I'm looking at the say it louder. Difference. 9x minus 10x. 15y minus 15y. 68.25 minus 71.25. So close, not 4, not 5. You have a calculator. I don't have a calculator, Mr. King. Yes, you do. I literally see it. Pick it up. Plug it in. 68.25 minus 71.25. Desiree, Shelby. Come on. It's not 3. You got what?
1738.
You did 68.25 minus 71.25?
Negative.
It wasn't 3?
I got negative one.
Negative 3. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, that's.
Yes. Now what do I do to solve for x? So notice we eliminated a different variable, but is that the same idea that we got earlier that each bag of cat food costs $3?
Yup.
Okay? So I just want you to see that as long as you create those equivalent equations and making sure that one of them is the same, then you can cancel it out or eliminate one of the variables. So that brings us to this summary, the most important part of this entire thing. This is what we need to make sure we have down well. Summarize the strategies that you have been using to reason about the price of individual items. And we started using the algebra with that as well. What is the first thing that we always wanted to do in order to eliminate one of the variables?
Well, at first I said I annotated the word problem and got the data to make a system.
Okay, so annotating the word problem, that is good. You created a system. Okay. Now, I will point out, when we first started doing this logically, did you have to create an algebraic system? No. But so I do want you to be aware of that. But yes, we're creating. So creating an algebraic system. But that's not where I'm going to start my first step. After we created that algebraic system, what did we do? We've already created the algebraic system.
That's identify.
Solve it.
You got it to where you could cancel it out first.
So we got it so that we could cancel out one of the variables. What did we have to do, though, in order to cancel out one of those variables? Multiply what? Okay, so multiply, what are you multiplying by anything, right? So you could multiply by any number, but what are you multiplying by a number? What is the thing that are you just multiplying the x by a number? Are you just multiplying the x and y?
Y and the way it equals.
What is this whole thing called? And there we go. That's the term I'm looking for. Does that make sense, Desiree? I was trying to get you to see. We're multiplying an entire equation. Okay? So, now this is an important detail. Did we always only multiply one equation? Sometimes we had to multiply by both. So, we need to recognize that. Multiply one or sometimes both equations so that what? What was the goal of multiplying the equations? And I think you said earlier, what did you say earlier? What were we trying to get? To get the original price?
That's what I said.
Oh, is that what you said earlier? I thought you said something before that.
So you can cancel out something.
Didn't you say something about canceling something out?
Oh, okay.
You did say that, right? But what are we getting so that something can cancel out or eliminate?
The same number.
The same, what's that number in front of the variable called?
Subscript.
So one of the,
Is that what it's called?
no, a subscript is like this, x sub 1. So that one of the variables the thing in front of the variable is called a what?
Coefficient.
Coefficient, right? So one of the variables had the same coefficient. After one of the variables had the same coefficient, what did we do?
Canceled out and then found the difference. Well, we found the difference.
Okay, so we then found the difference between the two equations to find the difference between the two equations. What mathematical operation is that? Subtraction, right? Between the two equations. Which equation did we usually subtract?
I ain't the bottom one.
Right. So we subtracted the bottom equation. Do you think we could have subtracted the top?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bit weirder. People aren't used to that, so we just subtracted the bottom equation.
Mr. King, what has the best mathematical education system?
Say that one more time.
Which state has the best mathematical education system?
I don't know if that's a piece of information that anybody has. I mean, they do rank the different states by education in general.
We're the last.
Uh,
We are.
Sadly, that is true.
we are dead last, actually.
No, yeah, 100%. At least last year we were. I don't know if we still are, but I would assume it's pretty close.
I think
Even Mississippi is
Mississippi-
46. And we're 51 behind everything, including the District of Columbia.
That is amazing.
Yep. Okay. So find the difference between the two equations. Like we subtracted the bottom equation. There's an important word that I'm missing that all of y'all have said. What was the goal of subtracting? Like we got the same
Find the
coefficient.
difference.
We took the difference to do what?
To do the same. I'll define it. The y.
When I subtracted these two, what did I get? A 0. So what happened to that y? It was eliminated, right? What is this method called? The elimination method.
Wait.
You remember how we wrote on that the line paper yesterday? Hey, elimination by logic, elimination with algebra.
Oh yeah.
It's called the elimination method. We're eliminating a variable. So find the difference between the two equations. Subtracted the bottom equation to eliminate. I'm going to underline that a whole lot. Eliminate the variable with common coefficients. We're almost done. After you eliminated the variable with the common coefficients, what did you do? Solve for the remaining variable. There's one last step, but I'm going to wait a second for y'all to finish writing that down. And please understand, you see this summarized section right here? You've done a whole lot of work, a whole lot of practice of doing these things. But this is an explanation of how and why and what we're doing. This is what you need to pay attention to more than anything else over the last few days. Would you agree with that, Mr. Loveland?
I would, yes.
Okay. This is the most important information that we're learning. This is the summary of all of it. If you look at these three steps, how many variables have we currently solved for? Look through the steps. So far, through step 3, how many variables have we solved for?
One.
We only calculated one variable, right? So what do we need to do once we get y equals or x equals?
Plug that variable into the original equation to find the other.
Let's
And
work on
then
that language.
After you substitute
All right.
in that variable to get what to get whatever it is, and then you find the difference between what you got with the variable and the actual, what would be the actual, what would be the word? I'm thinking of a mathematical word for you, correct me.
Okay.
I would just say it this way.
You get the actual
You're
sum.
actually, you're explaining it well, but I think this is a more succinct way to say it. Substitute that value in and solve for the second variable value. Right? Isn't that what we did each time? We just substituted back in and we solved for the second value. And what are these 4 steps together all called?
Equation. What's something?
It's a method for solving a system of equations.
Elimination. Wow. Oh, elimination method. For solving systems.
What kind of systems?
Equation.
Of equations. Is this how we solve a system of inequalities? No. What do we have to do in order to solve a system of inequalities?
You have to.
Use the properties of inequality.
Don't forget, if I were to give you a system like this, what would you have to do to solve that system of inequalities?
You plug in y is equal to negative 2y less than or equal to a. Wait, what? No, but
So we are going to have a test on everything next week. So I have a study guide for you that I'm about to give out. But we need to remember what I would probably start, and I'm just going to sketch this for now. It would look something like this. There's one boundary line. There's a second boundary line. Whoops. Dash. What do we have to do with that boundary line? Or those boundary lines?
find this the point of intersection.
Am I looking for a point of intersection when there are inequalities?
Or
No.
no, show the places.
Thank you. Remember, if it's a system of inequalities, the only way to solve it or identify the solutions is to identify where the solutions overlap. Right? So don't forget that. That will be on your test. I do have a review packet for you. But it is 5.1 through 5.8 is what we've done so far. Just be aware that that will be your test next week. So a lot of inequalities will be on there. Say again, sir?
I take gold.
It's okay.
That was not easy down.
The week after that.
Are we done?
Oh.
Really quickly. Actually, we have just about 5 minutes left. Please notice these directions on here. You are going to work on this as a group. More tomorrow, but starting a little bit today. Yo, there are 20 systems of equations on here.
Whoa!
Yeah, do y'all want to solve 20 systems?
No, I do not want to.
Yeah, me neither. Let's read your directions. Use any method you want to solve the systems of equations. You must use the graphing method 2 times, the substitution method 3 times, and the elimination method 3 times. So how many systems do you actually have to solve?
9.
That's not 9. That's just 3, that's 6, and then plus 2, that's 8.
That's 8.
8.
There's 20 here. You only have to do 8 of them.
That's too much.
It's not too much.
I'm just messing around with you.
Uh-huh. Huh?
The graphing method?
Yeah, what is the graphing method? What do I mean by that?
How are you gonna no.
He goes on Desmos and finds it
Oh, yeah.
justified.
Yeah, can you, now, you don't have to graph by hand. Huh? Yeah, you do not have to graph by hand. You can use a calculator, you can use Desmos to graph it. And then what are you looking for on the graph for the system, for the solution to that
That's
system?
second half point.
Huh?
What shall we say?
Are you going to have a shaded half plane for equations?
Oh, no, the point intersection.
Point of intersection, right? So we have to keep equations versus inequality straight. So you got to be careful about that. But But yeah, we're just gonna be looking for those points of intersection for this. What I want you to do with the remaining time is I want you to talk with your group, and I want you to identify which two systems you want to do by graphing, which three you want to do by substitution, and which three you want to do by elimination. You don't have to solve them. Just identify which ones you're going to do each way. Does that make sense? We good? Okay. Once you, as a group, identify those things, you are done for the day.
I don't care, so y'all just pick whichever one y'all want to do. We can just go down the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want me to do that? That's cool, great, alright.
It's cold.
Good talk, group.
It's cold.
Y'all did not actually talk that over, Peyton.
We just decided that we were going to go down the list. That would probably be the easiest thing to do.
You have to decide which ones you're going to do substitution, which ones you're going to do via elimination, which ones you're going to do via graphing.
Yeah, we're just going to go down the list. We're going to do the graphic method on 1 and 2. We're going to do substitution on 3 and 4.
Do you think that's going to be the easiest way to do it each time?
What do you mean?
So you're going to do graphing on both of these? And then you're going to do substitution here? Is that one going to be easy to do via substitution? Or would it be easier maybe to do it by elimination? Or graphing? Like you actually need to think strategically about which one will be easier for each method. It's not just randomly saying, hey, I'm going to do this.
That is a good point.
Yes, it's about thinking about what will make your life easier. Thank you. So I'm asking you, you've got 2 more minutes. Identify which ones you want to do, which 2 are you going to do graphing with, which 3 are you going to do substitution with, which 3 are you going to do elimination with. So which ones are
Hey,
y'all
where'd you get
doing
that paper
with
from?
graphing?
No.
Have y'all talked about it?
Alright, so let's do substitution.
Okay, so why are you doing substitution with 1 and 2?
Because you already have like which y equals
For those 3? Yeah. Can I make, actually let me check one thing.
Let's do substitution on 6.
Did you look at any on the back?
Oh, true.
6 has 3
I
negatives.
was like, look at the stuff on the back
no.
too. There's a reason why there's 20, there's a little bit of variety there.
Let's
See
do-
which ones do you think would be easiest overall by substitution? Which one will be easiest by elimination, which one will be easiest by graphing?
Alright, so you circle that elimination, make sure right elimination. You're
Number 19. Look at
Okay
number
with that?
19.
Okay, so which one's he doing with elimination?
I'll circle the subs. So we have to do, how
I
many
was doing
substitutions do we have to do?
But now I can look more.
Okay, so just consider that, as ready to talk with them, make decisions together, okay?
So, I'll do the substitution.
Alright, so why are you
Which is
doing,
19 and what
did you
else?
even look at the back?
18. And
Okay, so you're doing that one via substitution?
You said
Okay.
19.
So why are you doing this one via
19
substitution?
and 18, and then,
It already has y equals, okay. Cool.
I'll do 11.
Why are you doing
And then.
this one via graphing,
you
this one
can
via
pick
graphing?
the-
Graphing and you can pick the other.
So,
That is just how
you're gonna
to-
practice getting into slope intercept, is that what you said?
So I need to do
Okay.
elimination.
So why are you doing this one elimination? You just put that one?
It doesn't matter, you
Okay.
can do it.
Why wouldn't you use graphing or substitution there?
Those are good.
Why wouldn't you use substitution?
Because you just plug that in the decisions. And then as far as the substitution, that actually,
Y equals 9?
that's gonna take a
There's
little
nothing else
bit
with it?
of having to make that equation and everything else, that's why I wanna be careful with that.
So do we,
And then
is
for
it
the
really just
other,
y equals negative
it
9?
could be, I can't remember what it
So
was.
we can't say that, but so, does it have y equals or x equals?
I'll put graph on 14.
This one does? No, it's not, it's negative 4x minus 2y equals 18. Well, either one, 2x plus y equals negative 9. Bailey, does it have y equals or x equals?
Was there a fire
So the
alarm
substitution make a lot of
fire
sense.
drill yesterday at 7?
Now, you said
Seven,
graphing through that.
Was it
Yeah,
rough?
is anything the same there?
It was fine.
So what would probably make a little bit more sense than elimination there?
What?
Elimination method?
Or make more sense than graphing?
How do you do elimination method?
So those are just things to consider, that's totally fine with me. But
It's just substitution.
but those are some things you wanna think about. You can still do an elimination here.
I think.
Where's my phone? I'm just
Instead
thinking things out.
I'm doing
Just
it.
pointing things out.
Appreciate them.
Mhm. So which ones did y'all decide on? Did y'all only pick ones from the back now?
I was trying to pick some from the front.
Okay, so
Elimination.
number 11, why are you gonna use substitution there?
Peyton picked
I'll let
that.
her pick the, or
No, you
did
can
I
pick
pick
it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, because I only have one negative.
While that is true, in order to use substitution, what do you have to have?
An extra.
Y equals stupid.
Not stupid.
Smarty.
You need either a y equals or an x equals. Now, could you get y equals or x equals there?
Yeah.
Yes, but would it be the easiest thing there?
No, you can do.
When we've had standard form in the past, what have we typically done? What method? What method have we typically used when it was elimination?
Do number
Or when it
one.
was in standard? Listen.
Okay, we could do it.
What have we typically done when it was in standard form?
Changed it.
Not, think about what we did with 5.8. Did we change it into y equals or x equals?
No.
When it was in standard form, we typically used what method?
I didn't think that I had the way they were written. I was just looking for one that
It's
was
again,
Think about it now. Look, think about 5.8. It was always in what
one
form?
substitution. It was
granted.
graph. No, one graph.
No, we literally have it still written up there. What method did we use?
Crap.
Elimination.
We used elimination, right? 5.8 was all about the elimination method. What form of the line did we always have?
Standard.
Standard. So these are things we want to consider to think about. So are you thinking of substitution here now? Okay, why are you going to use substitution there?
Because we have y equals. And this one too, but this one has negative.
Okay. All right, so I just want to push on those ideas a little bit. You've already picked those things, and we'll work on it tomorrow. Please hear me very clearly on this. You see this study guide? I will not be checking for it tomorrow. However, this is your homework. This homework, all 21 questions, although you don't have to do all 21, but all the questions are due on Monday.
Alexa! Oh my god.
Second meeting on Monday.
The study guide questions are due on Monday. Because I'm going to look through it and I'm going to give a grade. I'm not going to put the grade in the grade book that way based on the rubric, but I'm going to grade it using the rubric to give you some feedback before you have your test.
What about this?
Is that test gonna be hard?
That's what we're working on in class tomorrow. And we will work on it in class on Monday, and we'll take an understanding check on Monday and then test on Wednesday.
Still don't know.
We're like understanding check on Monday?
Yes,
Test on Monday.
it's an understanding check.
Same thing.
It's not,
It really is. How does it feel like it then?
And this
because
game.
you've made it up in your mind.
This game.
No, I can't work with Peyton, that means it's a test.
And this game.
Sir,
They say you used to box, is that true?
huh?
They say you used to box, is that true?
Who says I used to box?
Hey boy,
What's his name?
hey boy, you have to make
Yeah.
copies.
Take it.
Shelby, give me Bible verse.
Thank you.
Give me Bible verse, Shelby.
Yes,
Remember
did you show any work on a separate sheet of paper for her? Is that fine too?
I think
It's gonna be that. It's gonna be this.
Let's just make copies of this. That's me on there.
We already did John 3:16 2 days ago.
No John. No John.
Okay,
Shut up, musty boy.
You know what you should do is you should do Judges 18:18.
Shelby, look it up and read it.
Is it
I wanna write the
18:18?
Bible verse. Okay, tell me, Judges, what's his name? What's
wait
his
a
name?
second, I don't know.
Stop.
Go on, Jen.
Corral. Stop.
Oh, I know better one. Kelsey, do 2 Corinthians 5:7.
Read it.
Hey, Mr. Cannon, can you pull up my
I
file?
lied, it wasn't
Oh
18:18.
my gosh,
No, I was
Shelby.
going to say.
Mr. Cannon, can you pull up my file, please?
Right.
Hold on 1 second.
Put second. She said put second.
Wait,
Wait.
I might give you 2. One of them's real short.
Give me a short one.
Okay, here, do 2 Corinthians.
Mr. King, can I erase this off the board?
Has everyone gotten that information down? 16:16.
Okay.
Judges 16:16.
Erase that. I don't know how to spell Corinthians.
Just put CR.
She put C-O-R, it's like she trying to spell my name. Oh yeah, it let me go to my name.
Mr. Candy.
Because he had it, C-O-R-E.
Hurry, 2 Corinthians, what?
5:7.
Everybody got this.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Week.
That was fun.
Well, 5.
Wait till Desiree gets back.
Eight.
Yes.
Huh?
Okay.
Holy.
What?
Not-
No, I'm just looking
No,
at how many
fake,
absences I had in
F-A-I.
2012.
Give me that.
Oh, my mom.
Use your finger.
In 2012?
Oh,
That was a long time ago.
Whoa,
Yeah, she
whoa.
You're
Hey.
Okay, not
I
by
would call
side.
home sick and she would say, too bad you can't come home.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, teachers, like, where was I gonna go?
Sight.
Yeah, mom
It's
said you can't come home.
G-A-C.
Why
The
should
only
I?
time that I stayed home, the only year I stayed home for an extended period of time was like a week or a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
She put something.
Because I accidentally got stabbed in the eye with scissors when I was at school.
Oh,
And so like, yeah, I couldn't be at school for a while.
that sounds fun.
The only time
You know,
I
stuff
started
happens.
I started to slack off the senior year. I started to slack off.
Dude.
My parents stopped caring. And
Shut
I stopped caring. So I was
It's a dangerous place
So
to
you didn't
be.
hear
I was
that?
late.
No,
I
what
was
was
late to school.
Actually, never mind. I'm doing that.
Senioritis is
It was the- it was
the
the
worst
spring.
one.
Can you already?
Senior
Like,
spring, I was
yeah.
like-
His kid is-
That's why I always try to tell seniors and juniors, like, because a lot of juniors are like, oh, I have senioritis. I'm like, no, senioritis is the worst lie you've ever been told.
In 2017, ironically, I had 17 absences.
I don't know if it's ironically or if it's coincidentally, buddy.
Michigan always works.
Either way, I don't know.
How do you spell cricket?
Can you call my
Put
last
C-O-R.
person? I didn't know if I have any discipline referrals. I don't think I have.
What verse was it?
Seriously?
I ain't messing it up.
Stop.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm having
Oh,
to
not
fill out
sorry.
that thing on the back. I don't know if that is.
My
Bro,
legs hurt so bad.
bro.
No,
You need-
no, wall balls. It's a 20-pound medicine ball that you have to squat with,
Nope.
and then you have to throw it to a 10-foot target. So you have to stand
You
back
know what else
up
is good?
and throw it to a 10-foot target.
No, stand right there. I'm
Nah,
doing
You had
shadows.
100
Nah.
Stand right there.
Nah, you know, take that orange is good.
No.
That was after a heavy
I'm
squat.
racing,
Oh,
you
you
don't
know
have to
what's
name my
good?
heart.
50 times, maybe.
Dude, it's rough. I'm not even in front.
It's
Oh,
right
can
there.
someone hit the stop the recording?
Yes, sir. I will not stop recording. How do you do this, Ken?
There should be a silver button with a red little circle on the right-hand side. You should see a red flashing thing on the screen. Do you see that?
Oh, I'm tripping. Right here?
Yep.